You just grab the end of the clip, extend it, and AI adds footage to make the clip longer.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cut to Reveal. It is I, Ricky, and I'm here with Peter, and this podcast is about editing and filmmaking and everything in between. Peter, how you doing today?
Hey, what's up? Doing fine. I'm back from Warsaw. I went back last night, so I haven't slept much, to be honest.
What were you doing in Warsaw?
I was there at Warsaw Film Festival, and specifically I was there for editing workshops that like PSM, which is like Polish Society of Editors, was doing. So there were like two editors of like very good movies. And it was good. It was very good. Like the first one was Nikodem Habior, and he edited one of I think one of the films I recommended in the Polish movies episode we did a while ago. The film is titled Philip, like a name. The only difference is that it's like through just with F, not like PH, just F, right? So Philip, it's a very good movie. I recommend like to you, to everyone, and to listeners. Seriously, very good movie, and it was very interesting to see it because I liked the movie a lot when I first saw it. And what he did is that he showed like two versions. The version that they had like early on, that was scripted basically, and on paper it worked. Like that's one of those scenarios where it works on paper, but like my goodness, when I saw like how it was supposed to be versus what they ended up with, which is so powerful. What they ended up with is so powerful. So yeah. So if you watch it, it's by the end of the film when he comes back to his kind of like a running place. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. And it wasn't supposed to be there. It was supposed to this running. This last bit of him running was supposed to be in a different place, and the payoff would be so much different. And again, on paper, kind of okay, right? But because of the context of the scenes and so on, like the payoff is completely different. And I think what comes across on the screen for that character development was so much different as well. And for me, it was a huge takeaway, and so fun to see, like an assembly edit that they had versus what they ended up with. So fun to see it. And the second workshop was with Piotr Kmiecik. He edited a lot of good movies, but the recent one is Kos. It's about Tadeusz Kościuszko, like one of the Polish national heroes, so to speak. And it's kind of like a historical movie, although I'm not sure how it aligns with history exactly. I mean, it's heavily narrated, and but you know what I mean. But he also did an interesting thing because he focused on the aspect that this film, unlike most movies, has two storylines basically that are parallel, right? And this makes it a little bit complicated because you have those moments where like for half an hour you don't see the other protagonist, and it's kind of a problem in the movie, right? So he was talking about like what he was doing to kind of remind us about the other protagonist while we are on the scenes where he's not involved. So very interesting as well. And again, like showing on examples how it looked in the assembly edit versus what after talking with the director and their thinking process, what they ended up with. Good stuff. I liked it a lot.
I've never been to any of those type of seminars at any film fest, so it's something that I look forward to, especially hopefully we'll get to see something at Camera Image this year.
Yeah, exactly.
A workshop or two.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think there will be editing workshops.
Yeah.
But there will be cinematography workshops for sure. Like Camera Image, by the way, for listeners, Ricky is coming to Poland for Camera Image, which is like this, I think, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, I think it might be the biggest and the most recognizable film festival for cinematographers. Like it's for everyone, of course, but it like celebrates the art of cinematography. It makes it unique, kind of. I don't think there is another one like this at this scale, at least. And it's happening in Poland, in Toruń, and Ricky is coming this year. So that's what he's referring to.
Exciting. First time in Poland and first time at a film festival in Europe. So.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of firsts. And it'll be the first time that Peter and I meet in real life.
Exactly. So that's three firsts.
It's three firsts. Look at that. You heard it here, everybody. Anyway, today we're going to focus on AI. So kind of new developments in some programs that we use and a new thing that we just found out about. But I'll hand it over to Peter to talk more about it. But Adobe, everybody knows, has been kind of really honing their generative function. Yeah, if you guys edit with Premiere, you may remember that they did it with the songs, where you could basically redo a song and you could stretch it out to whatever, and it'll cut it. That really works in a pinch.
Yeah, it kind of started with Photoshop, right? Where in Photoshop you could like select a section of an image and type a command, and it would basically, make the generate something that wasn't there, right? So you could like I was actually using it a few times on both like just pictures for someone, and I was even doing it for a poster of Yellow Ticket, my short film.
Oh.
Seriously, because like we had in that shot, like that's on the poster, the real shot, there is a camera that is not just on the side of the image, but it overlaps with Renee's part of his body, basically. I selected it and I said, like, remove this camera, right? And it removed the camera, added the background, and I don't know, like used the clothing, and it understood that this is like a jacket, like what it is, and just did it. Like I would do it myself by like copying the other side of his body and then flipping it and then warping it so that it's not like identical and stuff like that. Like I would do it, but it would take me like half an hour, right, to do it correctly. But with generative fill, I did it in 30 seconds. So that's crazy. Like it's one of those examples where I don't know, I love this stuff, even though like, on the other hand, there are those examples where you're like, I don't know, like is it trespassing to our territory too much? Like with this generative thing, right?
Yeah, it's too scary.
Yeah, exactly. So now they kind of announced recently at Max two things really that I want to mention, and I don't know, we won't discuss them very deeply. It's more about like I guess mentioning that it exists and maybe just thinking what it means. So the first one is Firefly video, which we actually did mention a while ago, but then it was it was more like a concept from them than something that you can actually use. So Firefly video is basically like Mid Journey for pictures, but Firefly is for video. And there are solutions like this already on the market from other companies. So it's nothing groundbreaking, right? It's just that now it will be part of Adobe subscription, which is, I don't know, kind of good, right? I guess if it exists, I'm glad that it's part of the subscription. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't like it, because I'm sure that there will be scenarios where I will use it and I will be like, hell yeah, I can do it right here, right now, without like calling people, paying them to do it. Awesome, right? So, but it's like a, I don't know, double-edged sword in a way when it comes to at least my perception of it.
Well, I'll say this: with great power comes great responsibility. So there's definitely, you can see how it can be helpful to us as a tool to give us that needed push in inspiration and creativity, but also if taken in the dark ways with the dark magic or whatever, like somebody could just, people could take advantage of it in a much more nefarious way, cutting artists and true filmmakers out because it's just easier to write in a prompt. But yeah, at the same time, I feel like there will be a time soon where this stuff looks just as good as reality and maybe even better.
It's already the case.
Yeah, people, but
sometimes.
Like, my point has always been that like I've used the generative audio tool to make songs and stuff like that, or expand songs for edits I've done, but it doesn't always work, and I always sometimes can make it better. So even if it does, it's kind of that with this generative stuff within AI with Adobe, not a sponsor, they, it's something like a quick tool that can use to like make small fixes really well. People can use it to basically create an entire production if they wanted to, but I feel like people would still just use it as a tool. When it comes to creating a drone shot or something, like I want a drone shot in China, like if you're just Peter sitting in his room and being like, okay, I just need this for this one thing, just as an example, that's awesome. But if you're like, I'm going to shoot yellow ticket 5 and we're going to be on scene in China, it's like, I'm going to be in China shooting a drone shot. That's like a totally different experience than just somebody sitting in a room. So I feel like there might not be a total separation in the end from like people wanting to get in and get their hands dirty to like create films and create these edits and stuff. That it will be, there'll still be enough people that want to do that stuff where AI won't completely take over and completely kill an industry.
Yeah. By the way, like we're talking about Premiere and Adobe right now, but like, all of the companies, all of the big non-linear editors right now are getting on that AI train. Avid, Resolve, I'm sure Final Cut as well. I'm least familiar with Final Cut, so I don't know what's going on over there. But Avid has this script sync AI, for example, find phrase AI solutions that they worked on and stuff like that. So like all of these companies do it to some extent, right? And that's good because like for a lot of these tasks that we do, it will just mean that we do them faster. So yeah, again, like I love most of it. I love most of where it's going, to be honest. There are just those things that like I have mixed feelings about, right? But this actually this next feature that we're gonna talk about again from Premiere right now, I kind of love that it's coming. It's already in beta version of Premiere Pro, and it's called the Generative Extend. If you have a reaction shot, for example, right? And I think we've all been there. I was there like a couple of times, even on Yellow Ticket, where they just cut because it was the end of the take. It was you could like time remap, but time remapping usually you could see it. You could see that something going on, and maybe like 20% difference would be non-noticeable. But other than that, like anything higher than that, wouldn't feel right. So this generative extend is basically you just grab the end of the clip, extend it, and AI adds footage in a way to make the clip longer. Have you had those situations?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I just if you go to their page and look it up, Generative Extend in Premiere Pro, like it's like stuff that any editor would want and need. Where it's just like I just need, like you just said, I just need like 2 more seconds, or I wish that the subject from this wouldn't start talking immediately, so that we could have a quicker end to this video or a nicer end. But yeah, I mean, they even have like correcting the eyeline shots. So like if somebody in a narrative piece where somebody looks off camera or whatever when they're not supposed to, like you can correct that stuff. It's like these little things that are really, really like useful. I mean, it's crazy. It's definitely like a tool that is much needed and will definitely be well utilized in a sense where I don't think this is going to be the same as like the remix tool for Adobe. This is something different that is very specific in what it needs, where it's just like filling in the holes of like, okay, well, I don't want to create a whole production to like reshoot this. I could just easily do this and stuff. And it's possible to do it without AI. But at the same time, like you said, like I'm crunched for time. I can't put like an hour into, rotoscoping this person's eyes in. So let's just fix this like that. It's really mind blowing and just amazing for sure.
And I guess the last thing, AI related, is DeepEditor. If you go to flawlessai.com/DeepEditor, that's the tool we're talking about. This one is the most scary in a way, but also kind of most powerful. So you have like a close-up of an actor, for example, and they say one line, right? And you have like a just voiceover from that actor, right? Or even from another person. And you can bring in that voiceover and it will replace it in that close-up. So it will change the mouth movement and so on, so that it's pretty much flawless and the actor says the line that they never said in that close-up. crazy stuff. Like you can if they say like 2 lines, you can basically remove the other line, even though the shot is still on them, right? And they will just close their mouth. That's it, right? Like crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's that's where it gets crazy, or not just crazy, but also scary. And that deep fake thing of like making people say things that they didn't say and whatever. I mean, they've used it. This was they used this DeepEditor technology in Tower, that movie Tower. It's a horror film where girls get stuck up on a tower, and similar to like Frozen and some other like Open Sea, where they're like stuck in a situation where they're on the top of this 2,000-foot tower, and then whatever, they used a lot of that, like shot one scene and then they moved the scene to something else where they just kept their faces but have them in a different environment and whatever. So this is used a lot. I think the one thing that we didn't mention is we're talking about how scary AI is and stuff, and obviously you remember from all the stuff with SAG-AFTRA in Hollywood about the studios coming in and basically taking people's voices and their image and making money on it off it without actually hiring the people. Like a lot of this technology from Adobe to even this Flawless, like they're with Adobe specifically, I think they're calling it creator-friendly AI. So they're learning their AI with only content that they're allowed to use. So it's not like everybody who uses Adobe, they're not taking people's work or teaching their AI with stuff that people haven't given them permission to use for Adobe to use.
The reality is, though, that like most people don't know that they gave consent. Like, for example, for Adobe, like, right, and even for this deep, like, they use like data sets that have databases of like things to teach AI on, but those things are usually compiled of the files that have like CC0 license, for example, or that, for example, for Adobe, I think it also includes like Adobe stock videos that were added. And if you haven't selected something in the settings to not let them do it when you're uploading, then they have like permission to use it to learn AI as well. By the way, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it works this way.
That's like reading the fine print. It's like make sure that you see everything that you're getting into, and it's still like a form of consent. It's not like there's no information on it.
Yes.
My point is that with Adobe, they're really pushing forward to be like, hey, just so you know, we're not stealing people's stuff. Like people are giving us permission. How they, what language they use to do that, that's a totally different story. But my point is with like this Flawless AI and DeepEditor, people have to fill out like when they do these things with like Tower and other films and whatever, like there are consent forms and consent workflows for like the actors and stuff that they have to essentially give them permission for them to use it. So if they don't do that, then if the production is like, we're going to use this, and the actor's like, fuck that, you can't use it, then we wouldn't be having the discussion about how Tower would have used DeepEditor to do those things. So there's these kind of fail-safes. I don't know about fail-safe if that's the right word, but there's these things in the way that, so making it a little bit more.
Their selling point is that they comply with ethical AI standards. That's like a nice way to put it.
Right, but also in conjunction with like SAG-AFTRA, with like the union of actors and Screen Actors Guild and things like that. Like I said, with great power comes great responsibility. So
Uncle Ben was right all that time.
And the whole time.
Okay, and that's pretty much it for it. But before we go, before you go as well, dear listener, I think it was like a week and a half ago was EditFest Global, and I watched some of the sessions, especially the one with Walter Murch and Alexander Payne. They both had the conversation about editing on film, basically. And like good things about this, bad things about this, and I actually wrote like a blog article on Cut to the Point, so you can see my takeaways from that session over there. But what deserves your interest, I guess, and even if you don't check that article, is that Walter Murch, he did a film about Moviola. Like it's called Her Name Was Moviola. This editing machine that was very, very popular, in the old days, right?
Yeah, film editing.
Yeah, exactly. And like it's a very good movie. I don't think it's accessible right now, It will probably take another few months before it's public. But check it out, add it to your watch list. We'll add the link to Letterboxd in the description as always. A very fun film. Walter Murch is credited as a writer in it. And basically it's a film that they crowdfunded, and where they took a scene from a film that was originally edited digitally, and they reprinted it on film, the dailies from the film, and they re-edited the scene on Moviola. Walter Murch did specifically. So it's fun because it takes you through the whole process of like what they were doing, what machines they were using to, sync the audio and the video, and what's the whole thing about this. So strongly recommended once it's available. So add it to your watch list.
Cool. Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer or information about that, and then when I looked up on EditFest. For those of you who don't know, EditFest Global is presented by American Cinema Editors, so ACE, which is what a lot of people aspire to.
This magical thing.
This magical thing. So EditFest Global is basically panels and discussions and workshops for editors by editors that you can, it's a festival, like a Comic-Con, but an EditCon, where it's a convention of sorts that people can workshop and kind of professional development in the same sense that like Peter was talking about earlier about going to Warsaw and watching editors talk about the crafts that they utilizing their craft in different films and stuff like that. But it's an annual convention, so to speak. So this is going to be one of the last few episodes of this season, listeners. So we're in season 2 right now. The new year comes in, obviously it's October right now, so obviously January. I don't know why I'm telling you that. Regardless, and to keep things more interesting for you and for us, we're going to start doing things a little bit different. We're still going to do interviews. We're still going to do kind of the discussions about things in editing that we usually do, but we're going to do some other stuff, possibly kind of what Peter had talked about, like show a scene that either we have worked on or another editor has worked on from the beginning, and then see what happened at the final version of that scene, and then kind of discuss how it got there, as well as other kind of things like that. So we'll start basically doing more type of like visual type episodes, but we just want to give you the heads up that things are going to change again. So probably we'll be off air if that's a thing in December, but we'll have only a couple episodes left in October and in November, so to speak. But as it goes, we say that we're going to do something full steam ahead, and then life gets in the way. So maybe we're not going to be doing it every week. We might switch back to bi-weekly. But regardless, we're not stopping Cut to Reveal. We're just letting you know what's happening. Full disclosure.
It's changing. It's not ending. It's changing.
As always, we would love to hear from you. I mean, the thing I always say, and the best part about filmmaking and being an editor and whatever is the people that you come in contact with and the community that you create when you meet these people. And so that's what we're trying to do with this podcast. So we would love to hear from you. You can reach us by email at podcast@cuttothepoint.com. You can leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/CTR. We have the Instagram at Cut to Reveal, and then YouTube channel at Cut to Reveal also. And for those of you who don't know or haven't heard before, but you can leave comments, I think only in the mobile version of Spotify. I mean, that's really about it. I don't have anything else to share. How about you, Peter?
No, just go and get them, everyone. Yeah.
Have a good one, everyone. Take care.
Take care. Bye.